What's good, everybody? This is Y and Z conversation between the generations. I represent the Y, aka the millennials, the best generation to ever exist. Jay Clark is the name. My young whippersnapper over there represents, you might guess it, the Z, hence the title Y and Z. Xavier and Lewis. Sorry about last week. My brother was dealing with a hurricane. You're here, so you made
Yeah,
it.
we good.
Okay.
We good.
All right, so we're gonna get right into it this week. In all seriousness, because these are some serious things we're gonna get into in a sense. Yeah, there is a serious
Yeah,
side to this,
of course.
and we don't want to make light of any victims, nothing like that. But there's only so far you can go when you start talking about 1,000 bottles of baby oil honey.
Baby oil and
Like
lubricants.
the
I- let's just
bad boy, you're going to jail.
he definitely is.
I mean,
So now you know more than I do because you came up in that era of no, I'm saying just you know more about Diddy than I do. In a sense of he's been in the spotlight longer in your life than my life.
true. Yeah, true,
So
true.
like put me up on game. Because everybody's saying, well, Diddy kind of been like this. He been, doing this, or he been doing underhanded stuff. And I only know so much about like people who used to sign his label, and how they would just come out with not much money after whatever deals Diddy gave them.
I really don't know where to begin. This is interesting because one, the case is only 2008 on, and what's interesting is because he's being one of the things is like it's a RICO, and so
Right,
part of what, from my understanding, what that means in the situation is that literally he was doing business to he had the business was literally a front for a word that I've never heard so many times on cable television in my life. These freak offs. Um, But so what's wild is at that point, Diddy already been in the game 20 years, like 18, 20 years.
right,
And so it's hard pressed to sit here and think that things started in '08, which we know it didn't.
right. That's what I'm saying.
It,
Like,
it'd be crazy
what
to
what
look
what
at
was happening for the last 15, 20 years before that?
probably the same.
What
I
was his
thought,
what was his villain arc? You know what I'm saying? I want to treat him like a comic book character. What led him
well,
into
what's interesting about '08 is, the industry is shifting. '08,
right,
'08 is one of them years you could argue is the cusp. That '07 to 2011 frame is when industry really starts shifting into what we are in today. And Diddy at that point, really his last hurrah, or Diddy at that point, you got Ciroc was popping off at that point, heavy.
right?
That was college days for us, and Ciroc, Ciroc party, like Ciroc was driving a lot of the functions. And then you have, of course, making the band. You have your Day 26 and Danny Kane being kind of the last hurrahs for Diddy musically, essentially, like low key, like that's the end of the days there. Um, and so yeah, so it's kind of like, okay, he's at this mountaintop and then just chooses to go left, but we don't believe he chose to go left here because you hear the stories, like everybody has been saying since this whole mess popped up early this year, how yeah, folks in the industry during the '90s and 2000s, like you were seeing stuff and not saying anything, which is a common thread that we hear.
Yeah.
But Diddy always been a wild boy. Like
That's what I'm saying.
that's
Like,
just
was he always like this? The dude is 54.
the
So he
man.
was born like
The
maybe 69, 70.
the man got fired from his internship, and partly for
Maybe I just haven't done enough research
I
about
let me look.
Sean Diddy Combs
I gotta
is.
look this up real quick because he got fired for being wild, I believe, from his first internship. Let's see.
This is crazy.
Where is it? Where is it? Yes, he was an intern at Uptown in '90 under Andre, and then got fired from Uptown in '93, and that's what led him to start Bad Boy. Like Diddy's always
What?
been kind like I really don't even know like the man is wild. Like this is wild to somebody of that stature.
That's what I'm saying. Like, and we all know, I think we've talked about it on the show before. The powerful and the wealthy, they live in on a different set of rules than we do.
That's
We
all
know
this is.
it.
That's all
We
this
know
is.
it.
That's all
But
this.
Diddy, man, he took it to another level.
And
He took it,
did he though? Did he though? Did he? Because I one would argue Weinstein is probably worse.
right?
Like
Okay.
what? Like Diddy's Diddy's is an organizational thing. Diddy's is clearly an organizational thing because it doesn't seem to be one centralized location like
Nope.
Weinstein's private island or whatever, the place where things are happening. It literally seems like wherever Diddy bunkered
If
down
Diddy was.
or wherever he was, his organization made things happen. And so it's going to be interesting to see who else gets named in this.
Yes,
Whether it's
that's
whether
all
it's
I'm waiting.
whether
Like,
whether it's just Joe Blow, employee of Diddy Enterprises or whatever it may be, or is it going to be like some folk that we know? Oh, you
not just, but like, do they? The question is like, how do they take the case? Do they? Because they said they got videos.
uh, the man.
So do they indict them too, the
The,
people in the videos, or do they
so
just figure out?
I, if I was a betting man, because this DA's office, the Manhattan DA office, we know has a high success rate.
Oh yeah,
So we already knew when they was coming after your ass,
oh, it was no.
you know,
And then we heard it was Rico. I was like,
because
hey, they
because I
got
had a friend who was like, "This is gonna go away. Are we gonna hear anything?" Like earlier this year,
yeah,
and
yeah, yeah.
I was like, "Oh, some a hammer gonna drop. We don't know when, but a hammer is gonna drop." And the fact that they dropped the hammer early because
Early, that's the thing.
they was originally planning to get that man on Tuesday. Something happened, and they said, "Oh no, nah, we got to get this man now." And they sitting here trying to convince us that he wasn't a flight risk or anything like that, which is why he's sitting in jail right now. I don't know if that man gonna see freedom ever again. Like that
Dude,
man is behind bars and will probably be behind bars for the rest of his life. Because like I said, like the investigation's been going on. Some of these folk have probably been spilling beans already. Who like we
almost definitely.
whatever whoever employee or whatever they cutting deals already. There's no deal for Diddy to cut here because he's the top man. He can't.
Right. That's what I'm saying. Like, I don't see where he's like, oh no, I was just a puppet.
Oh
I
no
don't
no
see
no.
there's just no way that's happening for him.
That man is for these freak offs is going to jail. And if you believe the rumors, he'll probably have a good time in there.
I mean, we can't promise that much baby oil and lubricant, but a good time nonetheless for him. What Cat said, you just gotta tell Diddy no. I'm telling you, I don't care what nobody said. Cat Williams started this year. I mean, don't get me wrong. I don't think it started with Cat Williams, but good Lord, did he just pop off something new in this year?
It's been a year. Hell. Okay, we might shift the conversation here because we'll see where this takes us. But like, just think of the last week.
Shannon Sharp.
Diddy, Shannon Sharp, we lost Frankie Beverly, and we lost
Tito.
James Earl Jones. Like, like it's
Bro, it has been a year.
and
And
this black men are taking hits like never before this week, just in terms of from all directions. It's been like, whoa, wait.
yep, well, they go another nigga down.
Right. For a multitude of reasons. Life, natural aging, for being freaky online, for having too
Now
many.
watch this. Now watch this. If somebody, I saw something funny. It was like Paul Pierce walked so Shannon Sharp could run.
Well, because there's only so many ways you can go accidentally live. I've never gone accidentally live.
Accidentally lie. It's too many steps. I don't. You know what? Whatever Shannon says, what he says. But accidentally going live, impossible. Impossible. You gotta open the Instagram app. You gotta slide over. You gotta scroll to live, press live. But he
Watch,
said, "Oh, I
watch the
just leave my
countdown.
phone on
Watch
the
the
bed.
countdown. You know, and then you know.
Watch the countdown." Nah, man, he accidentally went live. Come on, Shannon. Come, if you wanted to just prove to the world that you weren't a homosexual, just say that. Because that's what it's given. Because he had brought up, slightly the fact talking about how Cat Williams called him up and talking about, well, you must not be gay, nigga. And he was like, well, I guess I'm not. Bro,
Like we really care now. Like, bro, be
right.
you. Be you. That's what you want to do. Be you. Like,
Exactly. We didn't care in the first place. We did not care to hear you say, that's Mama Michelle. We didn't we didn't care to hear that. We did not care to hear that.
just
Bro, just what is the world coming to?
it's 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 been wild. Because let's not forget, which which is crazy that we can still talk about this. They eating the cags and cats and dogs in Springfield. But this is a, this is an interesting one. No, but seriously, this one is interesting because it's such an intersectionality here. This one is both an intersectionality on the whole racist and immigrants thing that party is, because it's funny. I was watching Dan Lebitard the other day talking about, and they're talking about it specifically from the immigrant point of view, which makes sense. They're connected to immigrants. Their family have been immigrants, and they understand that experience. But they're not just talking immigrants here. They're specifically saying Haitians, because why? Haitians are typically pretty dark skinned, which also brings us in the black side of things. Because it's not just,
Right.
they're not saying immigrants, they're specifically saying Haitians. And did you see that tweet or that video from an interview? Somebody in the Republican Party who slipped up and literally said the N word during an interview. He was like, "Yeah, these Haitian niggas, I mean Haitian migrants." So you already know what they're thinking, and we all know the code words and
Right.
why they're there. So this one's an interesting sectionality because they're both trying to conflate the immigrant side of things and the racist side of things, and this is all, as one of the candidates has self admittedly made up. Like, and they're
They
not
are
crucifying this
eating
man.
the cats and dogs in Southfield.
And he self admittedly said this is made up, and said he will make up things again
He
to call
came
attention
out of
to
that
what he wants
debate
to.
looking horrible.
Like,
I just hope he knows that. And I'm telling you now, this is the real thing. I mean, just imagine 2024, the year Trump and Diddy goes to jail.
you need send that headline to
Do you
somebody
hear me?
living in the 90s and early 2000s and see their reaction. Because yeah, those are two moguls from their time periods.
Exactly. It's so interesting to see what the rest of this year is going to bring forth. Because it's like at this point, I said to somebody the other day, if Gladys Knight dies, y'all could just go ahead and put me in a coma until 2025. If Gladys get up out of here just out of nowhere, I'm all right.
This next month and a half is going to feel like an eternity because we're here. We're a month and a half out, and they're talking about eating cats and dogs like it's serious. The man just had another quote unquote ran the playbook again for an
Random effect.
assassination, for
Exactly.
another assassin. It's like the mental fortitude to last the next month and a half, and even then, what's worrisome is we don't know what's going to come after, depending on the results of that day. Like, it's it is wild. It's simply wild, and it's so ludicrous because you just want to be like, okay, somebody in charge, please stop this.
Like,
Somebody,
it's just like
somebody.
it feels like we're in a video game, and I'm just like, okay, guys, can we wrap up this story arc? Like, is this done with yet?
You know what it feels like? You might not understand this. You're still young, but you probably have memories from back in the day when you lied to your parents. Don't sit here and say you didn't lie to your parents. We've all lied to our parents. And for
Right.
those who had kids right now, you know when your kids are lying to you. And you kind of know somewhere it's like, okay, so you just gonna sit here and lie to me. That's the story you're gonna tell. That's where we're going. And that's how I feel like I if as somebody who, got my degree in journalism, I've done the radio thing, done plenty of interviews. At some point, I want to be like I'm like, call this bull-ish out. Like at some point, just be like, shut the F up.
Right.
Like they're trying to be too nice with it because unfortunately the
Okay.
other side of it is we know they low key Trump is good for their ratings. So you can't cut. They don't want to cut the ish off because it's one of those things like we need the ratings, so we got to feed into this. But feeding into this is pure trash, and it's like at some point when are we going to be like what's right is right and stop selling out for the power of the almighty dollar? Like this whole like because I watched the weekend roundup. I watch them stuff because I'll be in the studio and watch it, and I'm just sitting here like y'all really sitting here letting these people lie to your face like that, and they're trying to call it out, and they was still like, here's how one of the exchanges went with Vance. He's like, y'all weren't investigating this. We did. It's false. There's no confident. There's no accurate reports of this even happening. Well, my constituents are saying it is happening, sir. We've looked into it, and there's no reports or anything actually happening. Well, y'all should investigate it, and that's why we're raising awareness so that y'all can investigate it. We did investigate it. There's nothing going on. Well, if I got to make up stories to bring attention to things like this, I will. Okay, so you made up a story. We investigated it. You're still mad about us not saying we didn't investigate it because we investigated it, found out it's complete bullshit. We all know it's complete bullshit, and you're still trying to sell this bullshit. Like literally, Republicans are out here showing their ass and trying to convince us that their pants aren't down. Like that's how like we're looking at your ass. It's right there. Y'all didn't wipe good because the crust is right there. Like we see it all, and you're trying to convince us that your pants aren't down. And it's like, and people are like, yeah, their pants aren't down. It's happening. Like, 'cause apparently, I heard the woman who started this thing on Facebook, who like one of the Facebook posts that really kicked this thing off, has deleted said post. Ain't
Bro.
nobody got video.
Oh.
Ain't nobody. It's just like we at the point where y'all are real literally your playbook is we gonna make whatever shit up to cause a distraction,
It's that bad.
and it's
Honestly,
that bad. We're a month and a half out.
it's that bad.
Month and a
This
half.
this year just feels, yeah, I don't even know. It feels unreal. It just like each year really does just progress more and more. I feel like each year after COVID, just it's like 10 years worth of things happen in a 365 day span.
It's ever since Trump got elected. Shit has been wild.
That's even more true.
And right now we're looking at that was 8 years. Like it's wild. That was 8 years ago. 8 years ago. 8 years. And we're still sitting here like, my God, dealing with this.
Right. We are still dealing with this dude. I mean, what Kamala said was correct. Like billions of people fired you from your job. And now you're trying to get that same job back. Do you like, is
Without
there
a
something
plan.
wrong?
Without a plan. Without a plan. Just because he don't want to go to jail either.
Bruh was up there. He was like, do you have, I mean, we have the workings of a plan. We don't necessarily have a plan right now. How are you telling us what you're gonna do if you ain't got no plan? What do you mean? What do you mean? You cannot make this stuff up, people. You can't make it up.
This is I am it's interesting. When you talk to older folk about like the before times before either of us, like okay, what was
Right.
life growing up in the 60s or 70s or even or because our grandparents, if you're still here, who were raised during civil rights and things of that nature, and
Right.
it's like wow, things seem wild, and we're sitting here, it's like I can literally see how things were wild, and they were slower wild back. You gotta think that was slow wild. Wasn't no social media wild. It was only newspaper article wild, conversation with your neighbor wild, what
Right.
you saw happen in your neighborhood wild, evening news wild. There wasn't no 24-hour news cycle. It was like it's so to think that it's not just the fact that it's wild now, but it's the frequency of how wild things seem to be get week by week is at a pace that I am going to be interested to see how this gets captured in history.
In the history books. And not only that, just no other countries are watching us like reality television.
One of the, one of the things that was most hilarious during that debate was because, one of the arguments about why she shouldn't be president is because she's a woman and nobody will respect her, and they use all the bad phrases. They gonna throw her around, mishandle her, treat her like meat. And what she did during that debate was literally demonstrate was that's the other way around. They gonna throw you around because look how I just threw you around this in these 90 minutes.
Exactly. I'm telling you, the only thing I wish is that it was in front of a live audience.
I'm waiting for the VP debate. I'm waiting for that VP
Oh,
debate
that's gonna be a good one. That's
because
gonna be a good one.
I want Tim Walz to just full dad,
Oh,
grandpa,
defense.
and whip up on that young whippersnapper like I whip up on you every week. That's that's Y and Z needs to hold that debate because that's really going like that's what needs to happen there. It's Y and Z conversation between the generations. Like, share, subscribe. Let's pivot back to Diddy real quick because I'm curious, especially with your generation, because you've seen some of the calls, boycott, ban, whatever. What? How are y'all feeling about that man? Who is Diddy to y'all? Because like is
Honestly,
he
I
even
mean,
anybody to y'all?
not really. Not if I'm being honest. I mean, he just like Carisha talked to him. So we trying to figure like, did Carisha know about what was going on? Was she complicit in going and dealing with what Diddy was dealing with? What about his son? Was his son involved in what he had going on? His children? You know what I'm saying? Because if it is these, freak offs, if they were as big as they were, did they involve his family members? So I think we're more concerned about the extensions of Diddy and not necessarily Diddy himself.
Well, we're not concerned about Diddy himself. Like us,
Like he did what he did. He gonna get what he got.
right? It's just interesting because like literally like taking taking these actions and the man on the shelf for a second. What Diddy represents to that era. Like he literally is one of
Right.
the ones who built and made the 90s what it was, especially when you're talking about urban music, urban fashion, urban culture. Like when you talk about people driving and making things happen, like you have to
Diddy.
Diddy is one of the tops in that conversation for that period. Like the
There's no arguing with that.
taking the person like the person and who he is as a guy at like just what he did. He's one of the icons of the era. Like when you talk about you know growing up and seeing urban culture more accepted and really becoming mainstream and pop. So it's not just Bad Boy Records and what he did with Mary J and Joe to see or even Biggie or bringing in the shiny suit era. It goes beyond that. It's the Sean John.
Yeah.
Like to where like okay now so we're seeing urban brands now being sold in Macy's and J.C. Penney's and
Right.
and our things of our culture are really being embraced
Widespread.
by everybody now. Diddy's one of the ones behind that. It's the Ciroc deal. It is the licensing and all this stuff. It's the television shows. It's making the band. It's all this stuff that he
The
was one of
question is gonna become like, how some people I mean, I think the only person you can really relate this to is Bill Cosby, right? Somebody who had that level of success and then something like this comes about. Um, do we still appreciate what he did for his era and his time, aside from what he did as a person,
can you separate the art from the artist? Or
right.
or can you separate the contributions from the person?
Right, right. Even though, and then this is like some people there, even if you get into the conversation of R. Kelly or whatever, that they make those conversations too. I think the biggest question is, like you said, the art versus the artist, or the fact that some of this art was being made while these things were happening.
Well, no, that's an well. So that's an assumption. How do I want to phrase that?
No, no,
No, no, I'm thinking how I want to phrase it. It's possible. Yes, some of these things can happen at the same time. Was one
right,
was one influencing the other? Don't know.
right. That's the question.
And
Was one influencing the other?
and everybody's got to make their own decision. Like you brought up R. Kelly. R. Kelly is the only person who I will agree with most people in terms of this whole cancel. We shouldn't play their music or enjoy their art. R. Kelly is the only one I really put in that category right now, and that's because there's no question that art was reflected, and it's that art is literally the girl's traumas being put into song form. So that is that there to me there is no separation there.
Right.
Diddy himself isn't the artist most of the time. He's done some stuff, but
Most of the time. Right,
so
right.
Diddy art as an actual artist. That's not the first place you're going with Diddy. You're going producer. You're going mogul. You're going these other things. And so the question is, and everybody's got to answer this for their own. I'm not going to sit here
Right.
and if you want to cancel him, fine, that's for you. The question is, for you, the question is, do you think it does the one affect the other for you? And like I said, Bill Cosby. There are some who won't watch the Cosby Show. I don't.
Right.
To me, those aren't connected necessarily. Um, like I said, that's my choice. I'm not gonna sit here and blame anybody who's like, I'm never listening to any bad boy music again. That's a lot of shit you're cutting out.
As
uh,
a whole, it's a very vital part of an era.
if you say I'm never gonna listen to Diddy cuts again, okay, I'm not gonna blame you there either. That's a little more logical in my estimation. But yeah, you gonna cut out Jodeci?
That's the thing, because I guess there are people in their head like, how far did his puppeteering go? What could that money, so that is the money that he stole from some of them artists, was that going to the free offs?
I I think unfortunately we'll never have those answers. So like I said, this case, these charges are facing is essentially '08 on. We're never gonna get those answers. We're gonna be able to make some strong assumptions,
Assumptions, right.
but you're never
Answers,
gonna have the
answers.
concrete
Nah.
that you're looking for, which is wild. And it's going to lead, but in this world, everybody has their own devices anyway. Hell, they're eating cats and dogs in Springfield. So, it's it's
We're not gonna live that down. I just want people to know that. Yeah, I'm not getting away from that. That is wild for him to say.
it's once again, it's going to be interesting 20 years from now when we're like when we're really y'all are old, y'all are fully adults now. Hopefully, y'all will feel better in the life. You'll be getting close to 50 in your 50s. I'll be in my right. No, you'll be in your 40s, getting close to 50, getting close to 50. I'll
But
be in my
even
50s.
even 10 years from now, look at 10 years ago. You would
Well,
have never thought in 2014 that 2024 would be the way it is now.
yeah, you need a little bit more time, I think, to get away. That's like I think that 15 to 20 year range is where you can really start to look back as like because like even now we're really folks are really just now you're really now seeing the effects of Obama. Like we're still seeing the effects of Obama stuff. Well, in this whole Trump like so it's
They
a
are
it's
still
one year
talking about
range
Obamacare.
to where you're finally it's like okay we can step back enough and kind of analyze a little bit and get a sense of wow some strands may be going on what the concrete thing was or the effects. It's going to be interesting to see what this is kind of all summed up and
Made up to you.
portrayed as because I I don't know I'm curious. Question: so when you was in school was they teaching '90s history, like were '90s events part of your history class or anything like that?
Not necessarily. I mean, not necessarily.
Like because I'm curious, what's history going to look like? What are we teaching? What like is this so much has happened? It's ridiculous at the speed and rate of which like it's I'm actually surprised cats and dogs has lasted this long. We're on week 2 of this now.
Yeah, that's what I'm saying.
And it's
Still
it's
going through social
still
media trends.
carrying through heavy, which is a little wild. It'll be interesting how long this one lasts along until
1,000 bottles of baby oil and lubricant.
well, it's not even that. Like, because it's funny. Cat, what was happening before in July? Because it was July, right? He ain't had no attention, and all of a sudden that Ohio shooting happens, right? He got some negative attention now with this cats and dogs thing, which is really going south. And then all of a sudden, another attempt. So, but it's not detracting the energy because also what happened was with that previous thing, you had the RNC, so that kind of diverted some of the he. I'm not trying to get in trouble here, but yeah, this nothing smells right. It all smells like straight just shiggity. There's this shiggity
Straight
going
cats
on.
and dogs.
Shiggity going on. Folks are eating cats and dogs. Damn it. What do you expect when folks are eating cats and dogs that
Yeah.
nobody has record of or anything like that? Bro, I don't even know where to go from here. This one of them weeks. This one.
I don't know. Let's see what the next week holds. The
Next time on Adventures in the U.S. or what's one of them soap operas? Um, what's a good soap opera title for American Life? This American Life.
bold and the bold and the cats and the dogs.
Yeah, we just gonna get out of here on this. See, conversation between the generations. Too much is happening. Like, share, subscribe. Z doesn't understand half the issue because they wasn't around for a lot of this stuff, as we
We
see.
wouldn't. We just kind of like trying to figure out how is this going to affect us 20 years from now? Because it is.
20 years from now, y'all still gonna be living with your grandparents or your parents who might be grandparents to your children if you actually found somebody to have them with. Oh, that was mean. That was mean.
No.
That was mean.
No. No.
You not moving your mama in with you? Or you got some
What?
mom? I know you out there doing it. You want a good I need to leave y'all alone. I'm sorry. Like, share, subscribe, follow. YZ the Divide, J Clark 787, the real Xavier Lewis. Um, sir, I'm gonna try and get my act together.
Nah, man. Don't get it together. Stay right where you at.
Mm-mm, mm-mm. What Steve Harvey used to say? Be patient. He ain't done with me yet. Don't you? He's still working on me. He's still working on me. I'll be in church repenting this weekend. Um, but yeah, until next time.
Peace out, y'all.